Welcome to another dose of the Gringos in Buenos Aires podcast, the podcast that brings expat / immigrant life to you. I'm your host, Paul Perry, and today's guest is a writer, director, actor, producer, a jack of all trades in the film industry. I met him in 2006 when I was working as an actor myself. He's my hybrid brother, the Pimpazoid Robot. Let's give a warm welcome to Brian. What's up?
Wow, big crowd over there. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, everybody.
Thanks, peeps.
Yeah, those are my peeps.
Thanks, Glenn.
Glenn's here. How you doing, man?
Good, bro. It's great to be here. It's been a while. We've been, talking about doing this forever.
Yeah.
Mauro's here.
Mauro's here.
And,
yeah, I see you got a dog with you, huh?
Yeah, man. He's changed my life completely.
Mm-hmm.
We're in love. He's my, my brother, my son, my boyfriend sometimes. He's my partner. He's my co-pilot. We spoon and take naps together.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, right. Yeah, all right.
And, it's like, at some point, I figure, I should become a father. I don't have any kids, not that I know of. Yeah. So now this is like a way of fulfilling my fatherly needs, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah, it was good. You got 3 kids.
I got 3 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got 3 adults.
One's better than the other.
Yeah, so I'm out, 3 kids is different than 3 adults.
They're all overachievers.
Yeah.
You've done a great job.
Thank you.
I don't understand how well they came out.
Yeah. It takes a lot of dedication and devotion.
I never thought they'd do so well.
Gee, thanks.
But wait, but Nona's a great mother too.
Yeah.
You're a great parent.
Yeah, but
you're such a great father.
That helps when you have someone next to you that is is your co-pilot. It makes a big difference. Yeah. When you have someone that's in control when you're out of control. And when you someone that keeps your feet on the ground when you fly too high. Yeah. So
that's Mauro for me.
Yeah, that's Mauro. Okay. In my case, it's Nora.
Yeah.
Nora. But also, when you have kids, you have it gives you a certain he means the world to you.
Right.
My kids mean the world to me, and everything you do for them.
For sure.
And
my life revolves around him right now.
No, that's
it's
cool.
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I never thought I'd say that or have that, something like that.
Well, him is you can't see that, but what breed of dog is he?
He's a lab.
He's a Labrador. Labrador, huh?
Yeah.
It's golden lab.
He's a lab retriever.
Lab retriever.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, cool, man. Well, it's great to have you here. I said you're an actor. I met you.
Yeah.
When you released Palermo Hollywood.
Yeah. The DVD.
The DVD.
The DVD.
The DVD.
That was my first film.
That was your first film.
It was the first film that TJM produced, my company.
Uh-huh.
And it came out in 2000. We went to Sundance in 2005. And then we had a release with Warner Brothers in Argentina. And then the film, it didn't do that well in theaters. Most films, Argentinian films, they don't perform that well in movie theaters. But it came out. It was kind of a big deal for me. But then, eventually, we did this with a friend of mine, my brother, Seba Leda, in L.A. I was living in L.A. at the time. And we did this special edition double disc DVD that I think you have.
Yeah, I have it. Yeah.
And that had like a shit ton of extras, and it had a whole bunch of like behind the scenes and the music soundtrack that my other friend Ivan Huizogrel did. And that came out as a double disc. Just imagine how long ago it was that, first of all, they made DVDs. When it came out also on VHS. And Got Video was the distributor.
Got Video.
You know that bam, bam, that crazy logo?
Had the little disclaimer, do not copy this. It's, you'll go to jail.
They copied the shit out of it. So they put it out, and it turned out to be this like cult hit.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that hadn't seen the film caught it on DVD. They rented it. I think Blockbuster was still around. But a lot of people, they pirated the DVD and they copied it. And there was this crazy group of kids in Rojas, Provincia de Buenos Aires, that they kind of they just loved the film, and they would gather around and watch the film on Friday nights, and they would get high as fuck. And they would watch this film that had drugs, sex, drugs, rock and roll in it. And they started like just, quoting lines and everything. And then a little while later, Facebook was around and they formed this group like Palermo Hollywood, like, fans. And then I met this girl that was in that group, Flores Carano, who's a friend of mine to this day. And this whole group of Rojas became like my friends. They were like, hey, you should come and hang out. Some of them were in Rosario, and then I went to Rosario, and then they would come. And so we just started hanging out. And they watched the film, and they would get people to come and watch the film. So the film had a life of its own, because of DVD and home video that I never thought, would, like, you yearn for something to be seen and for people to watch it. And it just kind of like came and went in the movie theater.
And what's the movie about for those of the viewers that haven't seen it? I imagine you say Palermo Hollywood and you think of Palermo Hollywood today, and it's not about Palermo Hollywood today. What is the movie about? Does it reflect Palermo Hollywood at all?
It does. We caught it right at the time where Palermo was going through that big change and turned into Palermo Hollywood.
Because it was Palermo Viejo.
Yeah, it was Palermo Viejo at the time, which now they call Palermo Soho, like, for some reason. And now there's like Palermo Queens and all this bullshit.
Palermo Bronx.
But yeah, at the time, so it's a story of these two kids. One kid is Mario. His name, they call him El Ruso because he's Jewish. Because, in Argentina, they
Was
call
that you?
Yeah. So, because I act in the film. I'm the lead. I'm the protagonist.
Yeah.
And so there's this.
I remember that scene. You're dancing on the bed.
Yeah. So the slang for Jewish people, traditionally they call them Rusos.
Uh-huh.
So because my character is Jewish, they call him El Ruso, and his name's Mario David Segal. And he's friends with this other guy, Pablo, who's kind of from the wrong side of the tracks. And they become super friendly. And, they're like chums, buddies. And they steal and they get high together and they do all sorts of shit. And then they get involved in this, kidnapping that goes awry. Because one of them needs money to just split and take his wife or girlfriend and their little girl, his baby mama and his little girl, to go to Italy. And he needs like some, money. And they do this like deal that goes bad. And then, they get chased by the cops. And it's kind of this thriller. It was my first film. It was the first film that my production company produced.
And why Palermo Hollywood?
Well, because it kind of encapsulated the change, the gentrification that was going on at the time, and what happened to the characters where at some point they get sucked in by the movement that's happening. They get left behind. My character kind of goes with it. But, it's what happens when a neighborhood kind of gentrifies and changes, and it just kind of encapsulated the whole meaning of what was going on at the time, which was kind of eerily similar as now. There's like great economic crisis. I mean, when isn't there?
When isn't there an economic crisis in Argentina?
But it was, it was a time and a very special time and place in Palermo, and I thought, the name could really capture the moment.
Sure.
And then it became what it became.
Did you write the script?
I did with my friend Federico Finkelstein.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I was living in New York at the time. So there's this weird thing where when you're miles away from home, you kind of remember everything vividly, way more than if you're here and, you've got everything at the, at the reach, como al alcance de la mano. How do you say al alcance de la mano? Arm's reach.
Served on a platter.
Yeah, served on a platter. And
I help you with that every now and then.
And when you always you're
I'm the go-to guy.
You're my translator extraordinaire for when I need specific. Also, you've translated many things for me, scripts and stuff. Yeah, you're a great writer too.
Thank you.
My neighbor, the skinny. Mi vecino el flaco. You should talk about that.
Yeah.
So your neighbor was el flaco Espineta.
Yeah.
Vivían en la calle.
And on Iberá. I lived on Colodrero.
Díaz Colodrero.
Yeah.
Y vivías justo al lado del flaco Espineta.
Yeah. I lived
and he was tight with you, and you wrote this book about him.
We were really tight, man. He was one of my good friends here in Argentina. He was one of my really good friends.
Didn't he gift you a guitar?
No, a guitar case.
A guitar case. Okay.
He gave me a guitar case. He gave me a guitar case that I used to lug around my baseball equipment.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I used to carry baseball equipment in his guitar case.
Nice, nice.
Until the guitar case
For the Shankies.
For the
your
Shanky,
baseball group.
My baseball team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, thank you. Yeah, I don't write as much as I would like to. It's because when you write, it's just like when you write a script, you really have to like
focus,
and you can't focus when it's like it's time to eat or hey, we need something from the Chino, and when you get into that zone, you don't want that. My fear is that I'll get into that zone, and then some will suck me out of that zone, and then I'll just get really pissed. So in order to avoid all that, I don't really write anymore. I don't translate anymore because of AI.
That's crazy. I'm a locutor. I do voiceover work.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And AI it's come for like 99% of my jobs. I don't do shit anymore.
We used to do a voiceover. Remember
we used to do a shit ton. And in fact, a few weeks ago, I was on this email from this studio that I've always worked with, and by mistake, I see the text and it says, esta es lo que hicimos, se parece mucho, pero si quieren le avisamos a Brian, seguramente no llega a cobrar más de 200,000. And I'm on that email, and I click on the attachment link, and it's a voiceover for a caso, which is kind of like these reports that they do, which is the voiceover that I did. Something that I would do, and it's my voice, and it's got my voice on it. And I know that I didn't record it. And I was like, these motherfuckers, they cloned my voice. And I'm on the email. So all hell broke loose. I was like, che, me parece que se equivocaron. Estoy copiado yo en el mail. Y me dice, no, Brian, no, estuvimos probando unos bocetos. And I was like, man, fuck this shit. Entonces, anyway, I called him right away. I was like, che, ¿me están jodiendo? No, te íbamos a dar el trabajo igual. Me estaban preguntando cuánto podía hacer, perdón por el error. Le digo, mirá, voy a ir al Sindicato Argentino de Locutores a avisar, esto es un despropósito. I was like, you're killing me.
I remember.
But then what are you going to do? Like, it's coming for all of us.
Yeah. I remember we did that French, and you wanted me to sound like Rocky.
I don't remember
we did that French voiceover for some French series.
No, we did it in English.
Yeah, in English.
It was,
you wanted me to sound like
Premonition. It was called David Nolan. You did the detective.
I did the detective. Yeah, with a Rocky accent.
No, you did a black guy. I did the detective.
Okay.
I think, yeah. It was called The Next Premonition.
Yeah, The Next Premonition.
So that was a show that my dad, who is a distributor, and his company's called America Video Films, and it's been around since 1986. I'm going to send you the little video so you can put it on here.
Yeah.
Which is great, because it's that intro, kind of like the Gati Video intro, and it's a fucking minute long. So he had this show, there was a French show, and he wanted to sell it in the US. I think he eventually sold it. And we did the voiceover. So I produced and I directed el doblaje, which isn't the voiceover. It's the dubbing. The dubbing. We did the dubbing. And you were one of the characters. Yeah. In many things. Because I think you also did the Justin Bieber one that I did.
I did, yeah. There was a time where I used to do a lot of acting. Yeah. There was a time where there was a lot of work for actors.
We did the carrots, too.
I did 5 voices. You were Satan. You were the devil.
I was, and the snake too.
And the snake, yeah. You were the snake. Yeah. I did 5 voices. I did.
Shout out to Na Contenidos.
Na Contenidos. Yeah.
Hernán Chira, el turco.
Yeah.
Y Rodo, Sebastián Rodas.
Yeah.
He's still around.
Yeah, for sure. We used to have fun. There used to be a lot of acting work.
Yeah.
I haven't done jack.
Well, you gotta look for it. It's you gotta be super specific.
Yeah, I know. You gotta look for it, man. But like once I was at an audition, and we were waiting there, and I was like, oh, this really sucks. And the guy says, are you an actor? He's like, no, I'm an English teacher. Then what are you doing here? And I was like, yeah, you're right. And I left, man.
Let me get the fuck
out of here. What am I doing?
Fuck this shit.
Fuck all you guys. You guys wait here to get rejected. Yeah. You know. So tell me, man. I saw that you were you sent me a picture of you and Kenya Reeves.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
I did this. So me and my friend Sebastian Ortega.
Yeah.
We did this documentary called LA Originals that came out during the
I remember.
pandemic.
I did all the transcript. I
Yeah.
wrote down everything word by word.
You did a lot of that
I
stuff.
did all of
Yeah.
it, man. Oh,
You did a lot of that stuff. So that came out in 2020.
Typing out every word that
Yeah.
the Mexican said, man.
During the quarantine, we did. It came out
God, that
and
was
it
a
popped.
nightmare.
You know, it went to like number 5 on net. It was a Netflix original movie and a doc, and it came out, and it just, you know, it shot straight up to number 5 on the Netflix US most watched films. It was
Nice.
right up there with like a Will Smith movie, and there was this other series called Tiger King. I don't know if you saw that. Remember that?
No.
You seen it? Yeah. Okay. But you know of it, right? So I'm talking to Glenn, who's behind camera, the Peanut Gallery. So that, I'm sorry. So that kind of popped off. And the producers of this new documentary were looking for a writer, director, and someone to partner up with. And they saw that film, and, you know, my name is repeated on the credits. I'm a producer, I'm an EP, and I'm a writer on it. So they were like, you know, this is interesting. Maybe, you know, we can look for this guy and help him, you know, help us put it together. So this main producer, John Scalise, is married to this girl, Mara, who is Argentinian. And it turns out that I knew her back in the day when I lived in Cañitas, because she was a waitress at the Soul Cafe. So he's like, we got to get in touch with this guy, Brian Maya. And she goes, well, I know my friend Gaston Pols, who's an actor here.
Yeah.
And they get in touch with him, and she says, estamos buscando a Brian Maya. And he goes, yo no lo conozco, pero sé que mi amigo Guido Goldberg trabaja con Brian. And Guido Goldberg was like, you know, my producer, you know, production manager. So he calls them, and he calls me and he goes, che, hay dos yankees que están buscando, te están buscando a vos. Están buscando un guionista, productor, y te vieron en LA Originals, me dice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great, you know, set it up, let's put it together. He goes, y uno de los productores es Fisher Stevens. And I knew Fisher Stevens because he was the scientist, the Indian scientist in Short Circuit. Remember that film? Johnny Number 5, the robot. So he's like the Indian. He's a Jewish guy, actor. Now he's a director. He won an Oscar for The Cove, this, you know, documentary about the dolphins in Japan that they kill all the dolphins. So anyway, long story short, I get in touch with him, with both of them. We do a Zoom call, and they're like, look, we have this great film, potential film. We have this great character. We want to make a documentary about Benny the Jet Urquidez. This is like super amazing, you know, karate, kickboxer. He does, you know, Kempo, karate, and all these sorts of martial arts. I'm like, I don't know the guy, but, you know, send me material. I look at the material, I research, I go on YouTube, I watch this stuff, and it blows me away. It just blew my fucking mind. And I'm like, this is a huge story. You know, what do you have? Like, well, we have this rough cut trailer, you know, but we want to put something together. So I bring in Omar Quiroga, who you met, too.
I met him.
I call him Obi-Wan Quiroga because he's, you know, a magician of sorts. So I call Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan comes over. He's like, oh, this is great. Let's put something together. We pitch them, and then I end up partnering with John Scalise. We both pitch in. I fly to LA. I'm there for 3 weeks. When I get there, there was this, you know, this fucking girl minister of tourism or transport or whatever, Kirchnerista, and she, when people would travel, they would close the borders and they wouldn't let people back in. This was like during, you know, la cuarentena. So I go to LA and I'm stuck there. I go there for like 10 days. They close the border. They don't let anyone back. And, you know, everyone's wearing the masks.
Yeah.
I hate that
What a
time.
nightmare.
But we shoot, like, you know, out of 15 days, we shoot like 10, 12 days. And we gather all this footage. And I meet Benny the Jet Urquidez, the legend. And I shoot him and some other people. And when we have all this finished, Mara knows this other girl who's also Argentinian who does makeup on sets, and she's working on Keanu Reeves' movie. And, you know, he's a huge martial arts fan. And, you know, we go, why don't we, you know, kind of like tell her to, you know, go to Keanu and see if, you know, if he's interested in us interviewing him. And she approaches Keanu and she goes, you know, I have this couple friends, you know, and they want to do this thing. And, you know, he goes, you know Benny the Jet Urquidez? yeah, they're doing a film. These are my friends, my friend John and his friend Brian. And like, wow, like, would you want to do an interview? And he goes, I'm not worthy of doing an interview for Benny the Jet. And then she gets back to us and we're like, what do you mean you're not worthy? You're fucking Keanu Reeves. What do you mean you're not worthy? Like, just say you admire him. Like, this would be great for us, by the way, for you to be in the film. He's like, nah, this is all by email, right? And then he goes, no. Like, would you reconsider? I'm like, Johnny, tell him that fucking, like, just say something about him. Like, did you send your best? He's like, no, I've told you for the second time and last time, I'm not worthy of being in this film because I don't know Benny the Jet Urquidez personally. However, if you feel that you could use a narrator, hit me up. I'd love to see how things are going. Let me know when you have something already. So I'm like, great. Let's do it. Keep the faith. So we put together a trailer, a sizzle reel, what you call a sizzle reel, which is what you do to sell the film to a platform, a buyer, financier. So we put that together. I edited here. I do the whole thing here with Manuel Pinto as a sound guy and Mustafa, Eduardo Pinto's son, as an editor. He's a great director himself, too. And we send it to Keanu. He goes, great. What's next? I'm like, let's do a call. So we do this call. I'm at Picaron, the restaurant, and I have a Zoom call with Keanu and John Scalise and Omar Quiroga. So I forget that it's, daylight savings in the U.S. and I'm having lunch and they're like, hey, we're going into the Zoom. Like, where are you? I'm like, oh shit, that's now? And I'm like, oh fuck. And I get my phone out. I put the phone here and I open up and I get into the Zoom room. And there's Omar Quiroga and John Scalise and Keanu Reeves. And, the waiter comes and by the way, we sent him LA Originals and it's seen LA Originals. So he's there and they're like, oh, okay, Brian. Hey, Brian, Keanu, Brian, John Scalise, Omar, Brian. I'm sorry. And so he goes, oh, hi, Brian. And I'm, first of all, I'm looking, this is Keanu. This is, for me, it's Johnny Utah. But he's also Neo,
Yeah.
So, he says Brian, and to me, it's like in slow-mo. He's like, hey, Brian. And the waiter is coming. He goes, ¿Ya terminaste con esto? And I'm like, yeah. So he grabs my plate. For a second, he looks at, the Zoom call on my phone. And when people speak, it kind of pops up and goes to their face.
Yeah.
I had that feature on. And when he comes, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Le digo, sí, puedes llevar. Y agarra el plato y justo Keanu dice, hey, Brian, and his face pops up and the waiter goes, he's looking at, he knows me. He knows my name is Brian. And he looks at Keanu and he's like, is this Brian? And he goes, nah. And then he leaves, he takes the plate and leaves. And then they saw that I was on the Zoom call with him. It's crazy. So he goes, how should we do this? How do you want to move along? I'm like, well, it'd be great if you could do the narration for the sizzle reel. Okay, send me your dates. So again, long story short, I travel to LA. We go to the studio, Gustavo Broner, who's an Argentinian guy who's won a ton of awards and Oscars and Emmys. We go to his studio, todo muy de onda, así como atado con alambre. Yeah. And he comes in, he rolls in with his fucking motorcycle like a fucking rock star.
Can you?
Keanu.
Yeah, Keanu.
And I'm waiting for him outside. And, he texts us, I'm almost there. I'm running a little late, He gets there 1 minute late, Yeah. And he takes his helmet off. Everything's slow-mo, And I he goes, Brian, right? I'm like, yeah, Keanu. I give him his hand and I go and hug him. I don't even do the shake and hug. I just go, shake, hug. I'm like, I love you. I'm like, I fucking love you, man. And so he's got this these papers under his arm, and he takes out, notepad or whatever. He goes, hey, so I watched LA Originals a couple of times, and I'm like, record scratch, a couple of times? You watched my film a couple of times? And he opens up, and he's got, notes on the film. He watched my fucking film, and he's got notes on it. I was like, this is amazing.
Wow.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah.
So anyway, he goes in and I shot him, and I have these videos of me on my phone, like directing him on the voiceover. And now he's our partner. He's producing along with John Scalise, Fisher Stevens, their Faya Productions, Highly Flammable, which is Fisher Stevens production, and myself as an executive producer. And we got this great director, Jen Trexeira, who's directing. And hopefully, we might go to a festival, maybe like Sundance or one of those.
Cool.
And it, for sure it might come out. It'll come out next year. So now we're in the editing phase. I give notes.
Has he been to Buenos Aires?
Not that I know of, because I was like, you should come to Argentina.
Yeah, you got to tell him to come to Buenos Aires. Can he come to the podcast?
Yeah,
that'd be cool, man.
Yeah.
Can you?
I mean, I hope that when the film comes out and the film comes out here, that the whole crew can come. I'd love to bring Benny the Jet, because he's a legend. He's the guy that, first of all, he coined the term kickboxing. Like, how great is that? You know. Yeah. And he fought everyone. He was a stuntman. He was in Force 5, like this, these cheesy 80s action films, B-movies. Yeah. He did stunts on Ninja 3 Domination, Revenge of the Ninja, American Ninja. He had this great studio in LA called the Jet Center. Yeah. And that's where everyone went to train. Like, everyone that fought Mike Tyson, like they would train there. Patrick Swayze trained there. He trained Michelle Pfeiffer for Catwoman. Wow. Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh, he's huge.
Huge. Kylie Minogue.
And he's Argentine.
No, Benny the Jet Urquidez is Chicano. He's Mexican and Indian.
Oh, right.
I think he's Blackfoot.
Oh, okay.
Blackfoot Cherokee, I think, maybe. I don't want to, say something that's not, but he's also Chicano.
You don't want to send fruit.
Like lowrider, that shit.
Yeah.
And he's just a killer. So he was, first world champion. First ever kickboxing world champion. And back then, there were no categories. Yeah. So he would fight like a 7-foot tall guy and just, annihilate him.
Back when everybody was kung fu fighting.
Right? Everyone was kung fu fighting. In fact, he was, when at some point, Elvis was kung fu fighting. He trained Elvis.
Wow.
He was the guy that was on tour, that they would do this exhibition before Elvis went on stage. That was his warm-up act. Nice. And then, I was Fat Elvis, and he would do, like, kung fu on stage, and you were always on my mind.
All right. Cool, man. That's awesome. So you're always working on projects. You always got something cooking in the oven.
It doesn't mean, I'm making money.
No.
You know how it is. It's
I know.
Shit takes forever. And also, you're kind of,
But you like what you do. You like what you do.
Yeah. But, you're betting it all on red, And I'm a gambler. I always say, yo soy un jugador. It's like if I have to, hedge my bets and, be safe or go all in, I always go all in. And, sometimes you hit the jackpot, and more often than not, you don't. And then you're fucking...
Sure.
Recalculando.
So what's the hardest part? Directing, producing, writing?
Raising the money. The hardest part.
The production, right?
Well, hey, how you doing? I'm Paul Perry, the host of the Gringos and Buenos Aires podcast, the podcast that brings expat life to you. And you know that. As you know, we have really interesting guests come on the show, visit us, talk about their experiences, and really enlighten everyone who watches each dose of the Gringos and Buenos Aires podcast. And if you want to see more doses of the Gringos and Buenos Aires podcast, you can help out. You can help out by visiting gringosandbuenosaires.com. Help out. Visit www.gringosandbuenosaires.com. Ciao for now.